everybody ready? We're going to go ahead and open up. We're going to call the concurrent joint meetings of the City Council, City of Commerce, Joint Powers Financing Authority, and the governing body of the successor agency to the Commerce Community Development Commission to order. Lina, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Linus,
Here.
Vice Mayor Altamirano,
Here.
and Mayor Gumedo.
Here. And do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, seeing none, we'll close that item. We'll move forward to, we're going to be recessing to closed session. Lena, do you mind covering the items that we'll be discussing during closed session?
Item number 1, recruitment, employment, appointment, employee title, city manager. Item number 2, the city council will confer with its labor negotiator with respect to labor negotiations pertaining to compensation and benefits to unrepresented full-time executive management employees. And item number 3, the city council will confer with its real property negotiator with respect to real estate negotiations with A. Washtel Commerce LLC for properties in Washington Boulevard and B. Craig Realty Corporation properties located on 2 Bay Telegraph Road and Gasper Avenue.
Thank you. All right, we'll convene to closed session at this time. Thank you. Good. Okay, we're now reconvened from closed session. Thank you all for your patience. We know we're running a little behind there, so we'll try to make it up as we move forward here. Legal counsel, could we have a report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, and let the record reflect that Council Member Rebollo joined us in closed session. With all 5 members of the City Council being present, the City Council met in closed session and discussed the following. Item number 1, that's the City Council public employee recruitment for the city manager position. City staff made a presentation. The City Council provided direction. No final reportable action was taken. Items number 2 and 3, both 3A and B, were not discussed in closed session. That completes my report out of closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, legal counsel. And at this time, I'm going to call the regular city council meeting to order. Lena, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Lainez,
Here.
Councilmember Reboyer, Vice Mayor Altamirano,
Here.
and Mayor Gumedo.
Here. And at this point, we're going to have, could I have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by our Parks and Recreation Director, Greg Alanis, and please remain standing for the invocation by Councilmember Rebollo.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, we thank you for the opportunity to be here, Lord, to lead our community. We know, Lord, that it is a task that is not easy, and we continue to ask for your wisdom and guidance as we lead our community. I ask for a special blessing, Lord, for our special guests here today, our homies with extra chromies. May you continue to bless them as they bless this world, Lord, with their presence and their brilliance. May you bless their parents, Lord, with strength, with wisdom, as they continue to advocate for them. And Lord, I ask a blessing of healing and a prayer of healing, Lord, for Marlene, who is currently fighting for her life after brutally being attacked at her place of business. May you comfort her family, and Lord, may you comfort those that are in mourning. We ask this in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Director Alanis. Thank you, Councilwoman Rebollo. And at this time, we're going to move to appearances and presentations. Item number 1, proclamation declaring March 21st, 2024 as World Down Syndrome Day. And I believe our director's got a presentation that he's going to make.
I do, Mayor. Thank you for your time. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. I stand before you today with immense enthusiasm and a profound sense of purpose as we gather to discuss an issue close to our hearts, World Down Syndrome Awareness. Today, our focus is on a powerful short film that captures the spirit of inclusivity and the undeniable truth that every individual, regardless of their abilities, deserves a seat at the table. Before we move forward, please allow me to introduce members of our Disability Access and Opportunity Commission. This time, I'd like to introduce to you Chairperson Elizabeth Del Carmen Martinez. And right here, thank you. Commissioner Susana Cisneros. In the back, thank you. Also present this evening are 2 Parks and Recreation Commissioners, Chairperson Joe Aguilar and Commissioner Gilbert Lopez. However, we want to acknowledge the most important people, and I think you would all agree, in our audience this evening, and that is Club 21 participants and parents. As we move on, let me begin by acknowledging the strides we have made as a community in promoting understanding and inclusivity. Our commitment to providing equal opportunity for every member of our community is a testament to the values we hold dear in the City of Commerce. Today, I bring your attention to a remarkable short film, A Seat at the Table, which serves as a poignant testament to the capabilities, talents, and potential of individuals with Down syndrome. This film goes beyond dispelling stereotypes. It celebrates the unique perspectives that these individuals bring to our community. In our city, the Disability Access and Opportunity Commission has been a driving force behind our journey towards inclusivity. Their unwavering dedication to create an environment where every individual is recognized, respected, and celebrated is truly commendable. Club 21, a provider of services to the City of Commerce community, has played a pivotal role in offering support, education, and opportunities for individuals with Down syndrome. Their contributions highlight the fact that everyone, regardless of their abilities, has a valuable role to play in our community. The overreaching message of our discussion today is simple but profound. All should have a seat at the table. We must recognize and celebrate the unique strengths and abilities that each individual, including those with Down syndrome, brings to our own community. The City of Commerce, through its coordinated programs and special events, is leading the way in creating an inclusive environment. These individuals exemplify our commitment to embracing the diverse talents and perspectives that makes us stronger as a community. The Parks and Recreation Department has provided each of you with a pair of vibrant and whimsical socks. These socks represent more than just fun accessories. They symbolize our commitment to embracing differences and fostering an environment where everyone feels valued. So, on Thursday, March 21st, I encourage each of you to proudly wear your crazy socks, and if you feel inclined, share your support by posting pictures on our Parks and Recreation Facebook page. Let us amplify the message of unity and acceptance across our community. Together, in a colorful and mismatched socks, we celebrate the uniqueness that every individual brings to the City of Commerce. Wear your socks with pride, and let us continue to stride toward a city where everyone truly belongs. I present to you a seat at the table.
Why should I hire you?
When you hire me because maybe hard vocal, I want to scan food from a cash register, scan grocery bags and put my food inside it.
You know, I've never hired someone with Down syndrome. Do you think you could do the job?
Yes.
I have so much to give. I wanted to be in a part of your group.
We would love to have you be part of the youth group.
Why do you doctors say congratulations? This baby will change your life for the good instead of always saying sorry.
I never thought of that perspective and the impact that has. Can you teach me how to say it differently?
Dude, I want you to say congratulations.
I have been thinking of ways that police could help people with disabilities.
Sometimes I get nervous talking to people with disabilities. It's because I'm afraid I won't be able to understand them. But I would like to hear your thoughts.
Do you go to UC Davis?
Yeah, I do go to UC Davis and I love it.
I need more choices of where I should go to college.
My sister's in 5th grade at Nativity School. We both like to go to your high school.
Well, I've never had anyone in my class that has Down syndrome, so I'm not sure I'd know what to do.
I'm on at my school and I do good at yours.
She'd make you a better teacher, not just for her, but for your whole class.
They will learn a lot from me.
Are you chef? I would like to work in the bakery.
Do you have any training? I'm feeling a little nervous.
Don't be hard to work here.
Well, let's try it out. Come have a seat at the table.
Come have a seat.
Have a seat.
Well, let's go to the table.
And you can tell me more about your class so I can learn more.
Let's head to the table and have a talk.
Can you tell me more about this? And we'll go and sit and talk for a while?
Wow, pretty powerful, huh?
Very powerful.
Yes. Kind of takes your breath away, chokes you up a little bit. These individuals to my right and to your left are the individuals that'll be our future as well. So at this time, I'd like to give them a round of applause for their courage and for them being who they are.
Thank you, Greg. Is there anything else on your presentation today?
No,
Greg?
just one last thing
Sure.
real quick. So as we conclude here, before you read the proclamation, each of you have received a handful of ribbons and bracelets to pass out to your constituents. We not only ask that you wear them on the 21st of March, but we ask you to wear them all next week, as we will be wearing them here in City Hall and in the library as well, and Transit too. So we'll get those to all department heads shortly. Thank you.
Greg, thank you again. That was a wonderful presentation and very, very impactful. And we thank Club 21 and all of the great work that you do. I do have a proclamation of the Commerce City Council designating March 21st, 2024 as Down Syndrome Awareness Day in the City of Commerce. Whereas approximately 1 in every 700 babies in the United States is born with Down syndrome, which occurs in people of all races and economic levels living in the United States. And whereas the life expectancy for people with Down syndrome has increased dramatically in recent decades from age 25 in 1983 to 60 today. Whereas Down syndrome is a genetic disorder caused when an abnormal cell division results in extra genetic material from chromosome 21. Whereas Down syndrome causes a distinct facial appearance, intellectual disability, developmental delays, and may be associated with thyroid or heart disease. Whereas when children and adults with Down syndrome and other disabilities are given opportunities to participate, all children benefit from this shared environment. Whereas on December 19, 2011, the United Nations General Assembly declared March 21st as World Down Syndrome Day. Whereas Down Syndrome Awareness Day is an opportunity to enhance public education and awareness about Down syndrome. Whereas members of society, individuals with Down syndrome benefit from loving homes, education, positive my apologies, positive public attitudes and supportive community. Whereas Down Syndrome Awareness Day will raise the public's knowledge and awareness to take necessary steps to support, educate, advocate, and celebrate Down syndrome. Now therefore, the Commerce City Council hereby proclaims March 21st, 2024 as Down Syndrome Awareness Day in the City of Commerce to increase awareness and promote independence for individuals affected by this condition, passed and adopted this 12th day of March 2024, and signed by your mayor here in the City of Commerce, Hugo Argumedo, and of course, all supported by all members of the City Council. We applaud you and we congratulate you today, and we celebrate all of you. Thank you again for being with us. Yes, could we get everybody up here for a picture, please, if that's okay? We'd love to get all of you up here. Thank you. Pictures.
Okay, everybody, look up here. Here we go. What am I doing? 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Yeah, parents come in. There we go. Hey, up here. I love it. You guys look great. Good job. Okay. Just FYI.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, just introduce her. I think you've met her before too. I'm pretty sure you have. Yeah. Uh-oh. Ooh, all right. We thought you ordered them.
Okay, I'm switching my little whatever that is. No, it's not.
Give them some time to do anything. Okay. Once again, thank you all. Greg, thank you. And that was a great presentation. That really hit home. So at this time, we're going to move to public comment. And is this the only one? Okay. Gloria Nezahualcóyotl, please coming up. State your name and address for the record, please.
Gloria Nezahualcóyotl, Vista del Rio, City of Commerce. This is see something, say something, okay? So as you sit there making decisions for the betterment of the community, may I request that you review the funding designated for Commerce seniors to make sure programs are actually being used as they were intended for. Probably $250,000 will be used this year in programs, transportation, and staff support for less than 100 Commerce residents, senior residents. The 50 to 60-year-old population is still employed and not unable to take advantage of current programs. Previously, the city used the funds for front yard maintenance, home repairs, and had a telephone reassurance program to stay on top of the well-being of those not visiting the center. These two programs are desperately needed due to the aging population. More and more seniors are becoming shut-in, and although some are equity rich, most are cash poor, and due to the age, are easily taken advantage of. Seniors on the previously blue and red line still need to walk several blocks carrying their purchases from the closest bus stop to their homes. The 500 route did not and does not resolve this problem. Please review the programs and funding to try to redirect some of these funds to the telephone reassurance, long upkeep, and social services outreach segment. Thank you, sirs.
Gloria, thank you for your comments. And I know that our Parks and Recreation Director's here, our acting city manager is here, and they've heard your comments. And I'll make sure that we follow up to try to address some of these issues and concerns that you raised. And we'll try to make sure that we rectify that. I know that in the future, we have some things planned related to this Route 500 that you're talking about. We know the intent. And I know that we're doing some things to try to address that. So hopefully in the near future, we'll bring a presentation related to some of the changes that we'll be making, hopefully in the near future. But appreciate your comments, and we'll most certainly get back to you. Thank you. And at this point, we're going to move to consent calendar. Is there any items anybody would like to pull? If there isn't,
I'd like to pull item number 5, please.
number 5.
I'd like to pull 6, 7, and 8.
Okay. Okay.
Mr.
So
Mayor?
if the
Mr. Mayor?
others, if there's no
Hold on 1 second, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
The council member asked for 6, 7, and 8, and 8 is not on consent. So I don't know if she meant 5, 6, 7, or is there a
Oh,
different
sorry,
item?
6 and 7.
Just 6 and 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry for not
you.
clarifying that. I only marked the 2 because I knew the other one was on scheduled matters. But yes, thank you. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So if there isn't no additional comments on the other items, a motion would be in order to approve items 2, 3, and 4.
Mayor, I'll move to approve items 2 through 4 from consent.
Thank you. We have motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. And at this time, we'll move to item number 5, and that would be the Senior Citizen Center, Bandini Park, and Teen Center Roofing Project Acceptance. Is Gina in the audience?
Unfortunately, Gina was scheduled off this week. That was prior to me coming aboard as the acting city manager, so.
Is there somebody else here that can address any potential comments or questions that our council?
Well, I'll
personnel
try
have?
to answer the questions. If I don't have an answer for you today, then I'll definitely circle back with an answer.
Let me ask the council member if do you want to ask the questions? Maybe that way we'll get these answered. I mean, they'll hear the questions.
I think probably Greg might be able. I'm sure you worked with Gina on this, correct? Okay. Hopefully you'll answer my
All
question.
right. If not, we'll get them addressed at a later time. So, Ray, if you don't mind, thank you.
Just to preface any of your questions, we do have a slide presentation that can potentially give you a before and after look of what transpired.
Let me ask my questions first. I might not even need the. I basically want to know two things. There's two facilities. The senior center. You know, did the repairing of the roof address the leaking in the kitchen?
Yes,
So there's no more leaks at all.
there are no leaks at this time, yes.
Okay. Second, is it the same for Bandini Park? And why I'm asking, it's about Bandini Park. As I spoke to my my Parks and Rec commissioner, we debrief and we were talking about just like the state of our facilities, and in particular, I brought up Bandini Park and just the inside of the ceiling, right? So as I'm looking at okay, so we addressed the roof, right? Because this is telling me that the roof is good. So I don't understand why the inside is still not looking like if we repaired the roof on the outside. I would just like to request that we go in to look at the ceiling of, I want to say it's still in the staff office. And I know that we walked this facility about a year ago. So I'm just a little I guess I was a little confused as to if the roof has been repaired, then why do we still have what it seems like it leaked in there? I don't know why the inside hasn't been addressed if the roof has been addressed. So my question was going to be, when we repair the roof, do they also look at the ceiling on the inside, or was it just the roof and that's it?
It's my understanding it was just the roof itself. The interior is probably under the Public Works direction. And it's also my understanding that we've already submitted a facility dude, we call it, for those ceiling fixtures to be replaced already. I'm quite familiar with what you're talking about. It does look unsightly, and it was brought to my attention several weeks ago as well. So I believe it's in the system and in the pipeline for them to get replaced at this time.
Okay. That was it. Those are my two questions.
Great.
City manager, if we could speed up the process of that ceiling, because it's deplorable. It's embarrassing. It's not up to model city standards, and it's really sad. And we have to take more pride in our facilities. So if we can please make sure that gets addressed this week if possible.
Absolutely. I mean, I spoke to David Torres earlier today regarding the issue. According to them, they were still waiting on quotes to fix one particular section of an eavesdrop. I believe happens to be the cause of that leak. So I hope to get something back here in the next couple of days. But I mean, with no rain in the forecast, I'll see if I can get them to address it this week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Can I add something to that?
Thank you for your question. And did you have a follow-up?
I have a follow-up, just really quick. Who does a walkthrough on these facilities, and why is it not being reported if it's leaking that badly and it's embarrassing?
Who does the walkthroughs?
Who does the
Well,
walkthroughs?
Our staff are there predominantly, and they're the ones that actually do the reporting. It's just the timeliness in terms of trying to get it fixed and working with another department. Although department, we work hand in hand. It's just timeliness and perhaps even short of staff at this time. But we are aware of that situation.
So your staff does the walkthrough, they report it. So what's the response time back with the information that is needed? So, for example,
I can't answer that question in terms of a response time. I mean, it goes into our database that goes to Public Works. And then from what I understand, the information that's given to them is prioritized according to facilities and projects. More particularly if it's raining, obviously, those are the ones that are addressed quickly and promptly. And other projects are then put down at a lower scale, for lack of a better term at this time.
would this be considered a priority project?
I would say it is, yeah.
All right, thank you.
So let me do this.
Okay.
Let me do this. When Gina returns, I'll sit down with all the pertinent parties. We'll process a walkthrough of all the facilities and look at from the perspective of staff, and then we'll jot down all what we believe are the deficiencies, and make sure that those are addressed. At least, if we don't address them right away, we'll bring it back to you as part of the CIP, right, for the upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you.
Great. Any additional comments on this item? Questions?
No.
If not, a motion would be in order to approve. Well, let me follow up before we approve here, because City Manager, you mentioned that there's still a problem with Bandini with regards to a leak?
Yeah, we're just confirming. I mean, in a picture I received earlier today, it looks like it's a potential leak through one of the eavesdrops. So they're trying to confirm and trying to ascertain what the issue was and then address it as best as they can.
So why don't we do this, instead of approving this, because we're actually saying it's complete, and you're telling me, and that's what caught my attention, that you made reference to a leak. And I understand the inside. Generally, roofing does not take care of the interior. So I know that's something that, either we have to do, or contract somebody to do it. But anyways, I just don't think, if you're thinking we still have a leak in Bandini, this is not a completed project. So I'd like to carry this item over to the next meeting.
I'm fine
All
with
right?
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So you
Mr.
can
Mayor.
report back then, and you can give us the update on what you find related to not only these two facilities, but anything else you may need to report. Okay?
Will do.
Great, thank you. Item number 6, resolution approving a fund trade agreement for the exchange of Proposition A funds with the city of El Segundo. Vilko, I believe you're pretty familiar with these items.
Just a quick question. Do we have an idea where we would use these funds? If it's allocated of anything?
So each and every year, the city council, as part of the budget process, approves $1 million specifically for Prop A exchange. So we normally don't have a high allocation of Prop A for transportation. So this is one of the ways that we mitigate that. So in this case, and normally it depends on the cities in the past, it would be anywhere between a 70 to 75 cents or even 80 cents on the dollar, which would then give us some funding that we can utilize towards some of the gaps that exist in the transportation budget. Welcome.
Thanks. That's it.
You good?
That's my only question, yes.
Okay, thank you. If there's no additional comments or questions on item number 6, a motion would be in order to approve this item. We have motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Okay, item number 7, Councilmember Garcia.
Yes, these are just I'm going to wait for Mr. McPherson to get there.
Sure.
How's your leg doing, sir?
Good, thank you for asking. Claude McPherson, Director of Transportation.
I just a question. Let's say we do not move forward with the transportation projects and we wait to do something else. Would it be required to complete this analysis and study?
Yes, the analysis and study, the services are already been rendered as far as this amendment that we're submitting for approval.
Okay. So I guess we have no choice but to move forward with it.
Yes.
That's my only question. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no additional comments or questions, a motion would be in order to approve item number 7. Is there a motion?
Well, I'll move.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you all. We'll move to scheduled matters, and we'll start up at the top here with item number 8, presentation and update from Sheriff's Department of Public Safety in the City of Commerce. Sergeant Duarte. Good evening. Good to have you with us.
Hello, good afternoon, Council. So I'm going to have a presentation for you. It's going to be coming up shortly. So I know I didn't have presentation for a few weeks, so I incorporate all the information I had done previously to this council meeting and the last updated information. So these are the crime trends, and I'm going to be starting from January. We had 5 assaults, 7 robberies, 37 burglaries, 4 of those were residential, and then 33 of those were other. We had a total of 84 other thefts, 52 were grand thefts, 17 were from vehicles, and then 15 were petty thefts. We had a total of 34 auto thefts, and we had 2 arsons. That's going to be the stats for January. The maps that you guys are seeing are the actual clusters. They're divided into bi-weekly, so that's why you're going to be able to see them there. I'm going to go to the month of February. We had 7 assaults, 6 robberies, 22 burglaries, 1 residential, and 21 commercial. We had 55 other thefts, 31 grand thefts, 11 from vehicle, 13 petty thefts, and 41 auto thefts, and we didn't have any arsons. These stats are run up until March 8th, so as of March 8th, we had 1 robbery, 2 burglaries, and both were commercial, 7 other thefts, 3 were grand theft, 1 from vehicle, 3 petty thefts, 7 auto thefts, and no arsons. Go ahead and switch on over. So the map information shows you where the areas and the crimes are occurring. I know we wanted a heat map, so that's what I was providing during those, wasn't presenting. In addition, you'll see what areas we're seeing the crime trends at, what times and what dates. Go ahead. Okay, so those are the commerce monthly stats I just provided. As you see, in January, we had a increase in other thefts. January and February went lower, and obviously we're just at the beginning of March, so they're not completed there. So that's why you see it obviously very low. Next slide. Okay, these are the Commerce ASAO activities. So the last time I made a report was on February 14th. So we did a homeless cleanup with Ocean Blue and social worker Ed Saucedo. February 15th, we had coffee with Public Safety and LASD at the Starbucks located on Telegraph and Slauson. On 2/22, we had a neighborhood watch meeting at Watcher in Greenwood. On 2/28, we had homeless cleanup with Ocean Blue and social worker Ed Saucedo. On March 1st, we participated at Bandini, Read Across America, and Rosewood as well. On 3/6, we did a homeless cleanup of the Mix Master with Public Works. As you most likely saw, we had someone created their own loft at the Mix Master, so we had to address that with Public Works. On 3/7, we attended the Commerce Business Council Installation Gala Dinner. On 3/8, I got the honor to participate in the Penny Lane Center Women's Day event. And on 3/8, we also did a homeless cleanup, Slauson and Telegraph, the railroad behind Aussie's with Public Works. Here are some pictures of some of the cleanups that we've done. The lower one on my left-hand side, that would be the loft. It's from above. So I went through the back of the business, took an up downward picture. We have Gerhardt and Grace Place. We have the Slauson and Telegraph, or and then we have Washington and the 5 on-ramp, which Public Works has already cleaned out, and we've already placed a secure gate. And then Read Across America pictures that we got to participate in. That concludes my report, if there's any questions.
Any questions, anybody? Councilmember Rebollo?
Sergeant, thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you, for the work that you continue to do in our community. I just had like a general, I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but, in recognizing that we serve such a vast uniqueness of community members, do you and the Special Problems team, or just in general, the deputies at East LA, do you do any type of, I know that there's some type of sensitivity training, but do you do any training with organizations like, let's say, like Club 21, right? That kind of train deputies how to deal with the special needs population?
We do. We actually, so that would fall under our mental health program foundation. Sorry. They actually have us go through scenarios, and they're actually used for us to understand, and how we would react to a situation like that.
And is that done like yearly, monthly? Like, what's the?
So that kind of training, if I stand correctly, that one's yearly.
Yearly. So
Yes.
once a year, all deputies go through that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll have a conversation more one-to-one with you.
Okay.
I would like to see a little bit more, especially from our special problems team. But I think it's a matter of just communication and like partnerships with organizations like Club 21 or any other nonprofits that's out there to do a little bit more. But that could be a conversation.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No,
Sergeant.
you're welcome.
Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Rebollo. Any? Councilmember Lainez?
Thank you, Mayor. Sergeant, thank you for the presentation. Just a question. Obviously the City of Commerce has a very big railroad footprint, right? And so I guess, I know we all get these incident reports that happen, and it seems like there's a lot of activity like along the rail spurs, right? And so what's the response from Union Pacific or BNSF police to really help us with that? Just because I feel like we're dedicating a lot of our resources, right, in focusing on those areas as opposed to patrol in our residential areas or even our business areas, right? So what can we do as a city to kind of help get them to lean in a little bit more?
So I could say that BNSF has become more communicative with myself, as when I send emails, they've actually assisted in cleaning up encampments when I go out there and take pictures, and I tell them, hey, I went out there, I try to address it, but it's in your area. They've been pretty good about that, which usually in a week they address it and clean it up. On the other hand, Union Pacific, it's a different story. I usually get submitted online, and then we'll handle it, but I never know if it's addressed or not addressed.
Got it. Acting City Manager Vilco, is there anything that we could do to reach out to Union Pacific and see if they could be a little bit more responsive? Just because I know we pay for our resources to patrol the whole community, and certainly the rail spur is part of our community, but I also feel like that's shared responsibility. The railroads should really be owning up and dedicating resources to keep those areas in line.
Yeah, in my discussions with Lupe Valdez, she has indicated that, even during COVID, they had a lot of layoffs, right? And one of the prime areas that was hit was, their policing, right? So they're not as robust as they once were. However, in my talks with her just recently, it looks like they're starting to beef it up again, only because they recognize the fact that there are a lot of issues as it relates to the spurs and in some areas that they are not visibly astute about as we are, right? Because it is our community. one of the things that I have broached with not only Lupe Valdez, but with Lena Kent with BNSF is to put into play like an MOU, a reimbursement agreement, because, you know, as you've seen here, and, you know, I can attest to how often, you know, our team is out there, right, and doing cleanups, and it just seems like it's just totally redundancy because you keep on hitting the same spot over and over again. But we have the ability to, you know, address these issues a lot quicker than they can. So that's one of the things I've been trying to push. At least if they allow us to do our job and get reimbursed, you know, then maybe, you know, some of the areas of concern wouldn't look the way they do right on a regular basis. So I'll keep you posted as I try to move through that process.
Yeah, even if we could meet with them or something needs to be set up, right? Because yes, we can address it quicker, but that's also deputies that we're taking off of our streets, right? To address those problems. And I'd like to see that balance out a little bit more because I think over the past, you know, ever since I've been on council, right? I've heard that we've been addressing those issues and it seems few and far in between that BNSF is stepping in, or UP, right? Step in to help, you know, address those. So that's all I wanted to express. Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, Vilco.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Just some quick follow-up. First of all, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate you providing all the great work that you're doing and working with Justin and the rest of our team here and all of the sheriffs that work under you. You guys do a tremendous job out there. I know it's very difficult, and many times we hear usually the when their complaints come in, you know. But I know you guys are out there and you're doing the best that you can out there. So I appreciate all of you. Just wanted to follow up related to the question that was asked by our councilwoman related to getting a little bit more resources. We know that Prop 1 just recently passed. So obviously there's going to be some funding. We should inquire and find out exactly how that could potentially impact us, or more specifically, how do we get access to some of those resources to help us with some of the things that we're doing. So if we can follow up on that so we can try to get some answers on that. Also, at the Neighborhood Watch meeting over at Veterans Park on Watcher, we had Matt Johnson, who represents our supervisor, Janice Hahn, and he mentioned that he had a contact and he was going to work with somebody to help us out, specifically out in that area in the Veterans Park area. And it was related to the Homekey project, I think in the back. I think there was some issues, and he indicated he was going to reach out to some contacts related to that. So maybe we can utilize that resource and get a hold of them and engage them to see if they can help us also with Union Pacific and BNSF in terms of being a little more responsive and being a partner. You know, they claim to be partners with the community, but in reality, we, from past experience, usually our residents are constantly complaining about issues and they tend to not get response, you know. And we need to do a little bit more to hold them more accountable, to work with us as partners. If they want to be partners with us, let's be partners and let's be equitable in terms of getting the appropriate help that we need to address some of these issues here in our community. So let's reach out to them. Let's see who else we can engage to make sure that we get some support. I like your idea of the PO. I believe we have one with Caltrans. Is that right? With Caltrans on some of the on-ramps, I believe. Yeah, there's a couple, and you know, maybe we can develop something along those lines where we can just bill them once the work is completed, and hopefully, you know, we then work on getting reimbursed for the work and resources that we had to use to clean up some of these areas. And you're absolutely right. We're a lot quicker. Obviously, they got much bigger areas to address, deal with, and if we can help and assist by doing it that way, that wouldn't be a bad idea for us to pursue.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're going to be leaning on council, right, elected officials. You know, I spoke to Matt Johnson a couple days back, and I think what I'm most afraid of is what's looming in the horizon. That is the Olympics that's coming up, right? I mean, I guarantee that LA City or LA County is going to clean up their area. So what does that mean for outlying areas like us. So it's probably gonna have to be elevated to that level and have those discussions, because I don't wanna be left out in the cold and having to address those things at an exponential level as compared to where we are currently, so.
Correct, yeah. So, thank you. Appreciate that, and maybe you can update us on some follow-up on those items there. Sergeant, thank you again for the great work you and your team and Justin and his team out there, all of you guys, collaboratively. I know all of us as council generally are calling different things that we see out there, or we get reports, and you guys have been doing what you can to address a lot of these issues. So I appreciate all the work that you do out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go ahead and move to item number 9, which would be the consideration of purchase and installation of outdoor fitness equipment at Rosewood Park through Sourcewell Cooperative Agreement with BCI Burke Company. And I believe our Parks and Recreation Director has a presentation on this. Is that right? Or
I do, Mayor.
okay, good.
Good evening, Mayor, mayors, members of City Council. Greg Alanis, Director of Parks and Recreation. So some exciting news that we've been working on for quite a while behind the scenes, and I'm here to present it to you at this time for your consideration. So the future of fitness in Commerce is just right around the corner, we hope. And I want to go through this PowerPoint presentation to give you an idea of where we're at and what we'd like to accomplish at the end. So as you're aware, Rosewood Park has 4 areas that currently have fitness equipment. The 4 areas were put in many, many years ago. And as you can see currently, those are 3 of the 4 areas. You got 3 of the 4 areas that have equipment. And as you can see, the first photo on the left, one of the pieces was removed about 2 years ago due to corrosion and potential liability. So we removed that. In addition to that area, it is not ADA accessible either, as you can see. Second picture is an area just outside the Brendaville Aquatic Center that had 1 piece removed. You can see right there to the right. In addition to that, the one far left will probably be removed in the next week or so because it's malfunctioning at this time, leaving 1 more piece of equipment left there. As you move around, just adjacent to the baseball field, this is the pull-up dip bar, and as you can see the corrosion there. And that's only one of many areas on that particular piece of equipment that is corroded, and as such, we'll be removing that equipment relatively soon. And we remove it just for liability purposes. We wouldn't want anybody to get cut there, and then we'd have an issue potentially. So over the past few years, we're taking them out slowly, and only because they're just deteriorating. So in fiscal year 2022-2023, City Council, you approved a project. The funding source, which I'm really happy to announce, is actually Measure A, LA County funding. This is not going to come out of general fund at all. This is reimbursable, which is a good thing for us, okay? Project cost is $226,000, which includes some project management and some contingency funds in case we need to do a little extra as well. The timeline for this project is approximately 6 months, and we hope to have ribbon cutting at the end of October 2024, which is just right around the corner, about 7 months or so away. And the benefits, obviously, is just to promote healthy and quality lifestyles for our residents here in the City of Commerce. So this is the area that is being proposed and has been spoken about various times. This is the area just outside of City Hall here, this grass area here. And I will go to the next slide and I'll let you know why we chose this or we looked at this area. However, I'd like you to take a close look at this. This is a 32 by 52 area just outside the parking lot. One of the reasons that it was looked at is because there is no removal of trees there. also access ADA accessibility to the right and to the left. If you can take a look there, and you can see the two disability placards that we placed there. And you can see it's my understanding there's about 52,000 square feet in that particular area, of which 1,600 to 1,800 feet would be utilized for this area. Plenty of space for people to roam, kick, run, jog, play baseball, etc. And we'll get into that a little bit deeper as well. So we did talk about the deterioration of the existing outdoor fitness equipment, and so some of the reasons why we chose this area, we looked upon it, was that it's ADA accessible on both sides. The concept plan was approved in February by both the Parks and Recreation and the Youth Advisory Commissions. The Senior Commission received and filed the report as well, and we're looking forward to the new amenity. We also took into consideration that the seniors would be able to have access to this area as well, as they'll be able to come over from the senior center and walk over and utilize it on their own. But more particularly, what we're looking at doing is actually doing programming with our seniors, doing stretching exercises there with one of our instructors already. It's a serene location. Granted, Monday through Thursday, the people do park there. However, Friday, Saturdays, and Sunday, it's a nice area from early in the morning to late at night, where somebody can actually go, utilize the area, utilize the equipment in a calm, serene area, and just to have some time on their own or with family members utilizing that space. As I mentioned to you, no trees would be impacted or removed for this project. It's limited use of the green space that is currently out there right now. And I want to assure you that the following programs will not be impacted: any special events, soccer field, soccer, football, baseball, or even picnicking if people choose to utilize that area to picnic. It's a convenient access and less impactful than perhaps putting it near the BVAC, which is the Brenda Villa Aquatic Center. And it's also less impactful. As you can imagine, on the weekends, if perhaps was somewhere else in the park, having picnics, gatherings, games, etc., this would take that out of the element, and just people can still go and enjoy the area themselves, and also away from the playground area where kids would potentially go and utilize it as a playground. And I'm sure they might as they're walking by, and they're kids, and that's what they do. But I actually have witnessed the old equipment that is currently out there by the BVAC during swim meets and water polo meets. The equipment out there is utilized as picnic area, and the kids are just, they're just using it like kids, but they're having a good time. So we want to try to eliminate some of that as well. And one thing that I also want to bring to your attention is it's going to enhance the all-approved Pathway of Hopes project that you approved recently. So there's going to be some connectivity from that pathway to the fitness area, and then leaving the fitness area and going toward the ball diamond. And also, one of the other benefits is that we will be able to program this such as a HIT program area, so we can actually have classes for our community, such as HIT. May not be as intense, but the circuit training with our professional staff that are hired by us will be able to utilize that and offer classes to our community members just outside City Hall doors here. So what's going to be put there? We're going to have stretch beams. We're going to have a core station, chest press, hand cycle, fitness strider, plyo blocks, lift and row, push-up bars, recumbent bike, parallel bars, pull-up bars, and an elliptical, all included in one area. And I present to you the mock here. This is the area that, this isn't our park, obviously, but this is just a rendering of what it would look like. And you can see there would be benches placed there, a shade structure for people to be able to come and work out perhaps on a warm day, but to have shade to be able to utilize that area. It would be cement, not DG. DG, we thought about DG, but that in itself, there's a lot of work to be done to maintain it. So if it's a cement pad, it's a lot easier to maintain, and we're able to power wash more often to keep it sanitized and clean for our residents. That concludes my report. if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'd like to ask a
Questions?
question. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. It's great. I'm excited about this project. My only concern is, I'm into health and fitness too, and well, I try to be. I know that we brought in some professionals to do a study, and a lot of residents were concerned about having more green space. So I feel that if we have it in that location, we're taking away from green space. Is there any other options that may, come to mind that we can put it somewhere else, or? Go ahead.
We walked the park to take a look, and we felt, as well as commission and staff and public works, felt that that particular area was a good use of space. That area there would only be 32 feet from the sidewalk, which not many people would use that space to picnic. As a matter of fact, I don't believe I've seen anybody there. Again, we will be able to utilize that space for community events, the green space, picnicking still for the entire area. As I mentioned to you, the area is about 50,000 square feet, of which we would only use 1,600 square feet. And I'm no mathematician, but it's probably just the size of this area here where you sit in this area, and maybe even a little less actually.
Here?
I'd say from the end of this table to where you're at, and maybe the dais itself, a tad more. So that would be the only space that would be utilized. Going into the other parts of the park, we took into consideration the ball field. We wanted to be sure that it didn't get near the ball field for foul balls or when they're practicing. Also, the removal of the trees, I wanted to be sure that trees weren't really removed from this area. And also, again, I wanted to be sure that when I presented it to commission and the staff, that it was an area where people could come and unwind and not be too close to pagodas or playground equipment where people would be constantly throughout the weekend. So those were some of the reasons. Now, if you're asking about another park, Veterans Park, obviously we have projects going on at Veterans Parks already. Bandini Park, I have a plan that I'd like to present to you in regards to fitness equipment there in the very near future. So that's down the road. And Bristol Park, we are working on the concept plan now, of which will include fitness equipment. If not then, I would actually like to do it a lot sooner.
Greg, so what do you think about putting this equipment near the EOC, closer to the ADA access area? That's one location. And how about behind the basketball courts? So that way we don't take away any green space. Have you thought about those areas?
The behind the basketball court was discussed at the beginning, at the infancy of this. Just the basketball courts create a lot of noise, a lot of issues occur, and more recently, unfortunately, individuals with loud music, inappropriate music that our staff having to go out and to deal with. And I understand the green space concept of what you're trying to accomplish. So that was discussed. It was also talked about maybe putting it in the parking lot, but I just don't feel putting a fitness equipment area where you want people to go and enjoy should be put in a parking lot. However, if that's the desire of council, then we would move forward with something like that.
Okay. And one more question: who's going to maintain the equipment?
There's a warranty, I want to say it's a 15 to 20 year warranty on this equipment itself, but in terms of maintaining it, sanitizing it, keeping it up to par would be Public Works. And should we need pieces or replace things, it's still under warranty and we would be able to replace those immediately.
20 years is pretty good. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rebollo?
Thank you. So my dog's not going to be happy because that's his favorite spot in the grass, but Simba will get over it. And I think I struggle with the same idea of losing the green space because families do actually use that area. I live right across the street, so I do see families having picnics. There's a particular family that's there all the time playing. They take their tea and the dad practices with their son, which I know they could do on the other side, but it is used, right? So I do struggle with the idea of removing that space, but then I also think about the benefits that are going to come with the fitness center. So I have a little bit of mixed emotions, right? And I know you talked about conducting fitness classes there. So I just want to make sure that that is something that will happen, right? That we're not just saying, look, there's a space, we're going to have classes here, and then like it gets built and then we forget to conduct classes, right? So I definitely would like, if this is the direction that the council is going to go in, that we definitely provide those opportunities for fitness. Fitness is definitely something that's really important, right? So this space, I know, comes with great benefits to our community. And then as I thought of, okay, where else can it be put where we don't have to lose, the grass area? I'm just such a big proponent on like green space and like having the access to have picnics with your family. Again, I live there across the street, so I get to see, right? Especially on the weekends, the way it gets used. I go out there with my son and we do, right? So yeah, it's a little like I'm, like I know it comes with benefits, but I'm a little like, a little sad about losing green space. Although, again, it is a great benefit to our community. So I see that. My question is, and you touched a little bit on it, was going to be Bristol Park, right? Because the equipment at Bristol Park is worse condition than at Rosewood Park. So is there a consideration to do it there first? And then, like, that's A, like, was there consideration to do Bristol Park first since their equipment is in worse condition than Rosewood Park? And second, if not, when is Bristol Park? What's the timeline for Bristol Park to get their equipment? Because I hate for that community to feel like, why is it always there, right? Because that's what we're gonna get, and we know this, right? We're gonna get those phone calls, and rightfully so, right? So I'm having mixed emotions with this because it is great, and I'm excited to bring this to the community, but I don't know if maybe it should be at Bristol Park first. That's my comments.
Yeah, no, good question. It was discussed quickly in regards to Bristol Park, but we moved forward with Rosewood Park because we saw the need out here. We see people a lot, and I'm sure they're at Bristol Park. My intentions at Bristol Park are actually to continue to do what we have at those facilities, the area where they walk, which will be a lot less nominal in terms of us building those pads and structures, which can be done very quickly. Again, this is money that came from Measure A. So there's a process, and it's taken us quite a while to get through the process because it's our first time, by the way. I think we've learned a lot, staff and I, that we could go back and ask LA County Parks and Rec to consider a new project as well and move forward with that project. That project itself won't be as costly as doing what we're doing here. However, it will be just as beneficial for the community as well. I've walked that area and I've noticed some of the equipment itself, the pads they're on, they're tilted, so I'm very concerned about that. So we would actually do new pads and make everything look clean, and also try to work around the new Pathways of Hope there to be sure that it fits into the configuration of the project. But if you direct us, absolutely, I can actually start talking about it tomorrow and looking into it.
Well, I just think Bristol Park, there is a space where we're not losing green space, right? Where the bungalow used to be, that was removed. And as we look at the future of Bristol Park, that fits in right into what we want to create in that community. It's just, as I was reading it, and I mixed emotions, right? I want us to make sure that should our direction be to keep it here, that we don't wait years to do what we want to do at Bristol, because their equipment is in worse condition than the equipment here at Rosewood Park. Those are all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Lainez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Greg, for the presentation. I agree with my colleagues. Green space is important, but we should also consider open public spaces, right? And that increase the utilization of that area. And I don't think anybody has as often as a view as you do to that area, but when I've gone there to play with my kids, whether it's Nerf battles or soccer or catch, I do see families picnicking, but it's by the trees, so a little bit more closer to the baseball field. So, and I think that makes sense because of the shade, and I think this is more where it would be impacted by sunlight. So, for whatever it's worth, I do think the positioning in Rosewood is good from that perspective. I definitely feel your pain, right? Because we do get a lot of those comments. Rosewood gets everything, right? Why does Rosewood get everything? And I think, as I was thinking about this, the one thing that this does is, or one good reason I think is that this is so close to the senior center. And when we look at this equipment, I think it's going to be utilized by our senior community, right, as they're walking around. So if our senior center were at Bristow Park, I'd say let's put it at Bristow Park, right? But in this case, because of the close proximity to the senior center, right, I think it's probably the ideal location for it. I also like that it's relatively low cost, right? It's covered by Measure A funds, and I think that's beneficial too. And we've been talking about this for close to 2 years. So I think it's all just coming to a head. Again, I like having a big open field, right, to do whatever you want to do, but it feels like 90% of the time that area isn't even used. And so I think we still have a lot of open field, even if this gets constructed. So I think I'm for it. It does upgrade our parks, and I think it is in line with our Parks Master Plan, right, where the community was asking for more amenities and things to promote healthy living. And so I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, Greg, I'm in the same boat, right? I'm like what Oralia's or Councilwoman Reboy was saying. I mean, it's a great idea. It's a great concept, and I think our Councilwoman Garcia had mentioned it's something similar to Venice, right? That you can go work out outdoor and stuff. Now, people play soccer there, don't they? I mean, have we analyzed that? I've seen families.
We don't utilize it for our youth sports other than overflow, so we will use it for our tiny sports. However, it doesn't impact that area at all. We can actually still have games there for them. We can still have practices, should we need to. We have individuals or groups that go and utilize that space. We understand that, but for our rec sports, travel and just rec, we do not use it other than when we need to. We utilize the big field just adjacent to the Brenda Villa Aquatic Center.
Mm-hmm. And well, Greg, I mean, I like the concept. I do. I just don't know who's for it or not. I don't know if it doesn't look like it's gonna take too much, but have you guys also considered off of Harbor next to the bungalows? There's also some patches there and I know we have some light poles there, but I can't really remember if there's anything in the way there. I know during 4th of July, people put some tents there, barbecue pits.
Are you talking the Harbor and the parking lot?
Harbor, and then there's a parking lot, a small parking lot right across the street from the school.
Yes, it's actually one of the areas that there's quite a few trees there, and the proximity again, to have an area where people can just be with themselves or their families to work out. You have the pagodas. If you're looking from the parking lot, you have the pagodas just to the left, which will have parties, all day Saturday and Sundays. And then to the right, you have the BVAC, where we have quite a few swim meets and water polo. And as you're aware, which I was shocked when I came on board, was that when you have all the swim meets and water polo, that entire area is canopies for an entire day or even 2.
Got it.
So we wanted to eliminate it being a play structure.
Okay. The other one concern I do have, Greg, is the floor being concrete. What if a senior passes out and falls down? Is there anything we could do with the floor? I know like the playgrounds have like this foam. I'm not sure.
Surfacing. Yeah, there, I mean, that can be considered, it's quite costly to add the rubber surfacing. I'd have to go back and get a quote and then go back to LA County for them to approve additional funding for it. However, the longevity versus concrete, we would probably have to come back in about 10 years to redo the concrete. And then there's a lot that goes on with the rubber surfacing. So when somebody has gum and they put it on the rubber surfacing, it's very difficult to take off. Whereas in concrete, you can scrape it off and power wash and it looks clean. When you have gum on rubber surfacing, trying to take it off, you actually will take off some of the rubber surfacing with it perhaps. So that's something to consider. And then if you have to patch an area, it's not the same color as you're probably, if you go to our playgrounds, you'll see rubber surfacing and you'll see patches there, and that's because it's been repaired. So,
what if you make the floor look like a puzzle? Different colors, and so
yeah, no kidding.
If you take a piece out, then you can still mess around with it. It'll still blend in, right? But I get you. Yeah, it can get damaged much quicker, right?
Yes.
But my concern is just the seniors or anybody falling down.
Yeah, you know, the majority of these fitness areas or fitness zones are cement and or DG. You know, so it's either one of those two materials. I'm sure there are some with the rubber surfacing. I haven't seen them quite. I don't believe I've seen them at all, but I've seen the cement and DG, and I've actually seen sand. You know, particularly if you go to Whittier Narrows, Lake, all those are in like a real thick sand. I mean, almost like a DG itself, but it moves a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. No, those were my comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Just to follow up, Greg, thank you for the presentation on this item. And, you know, I took the opportunity to go out there today and I asked, you know, to meet with you there only because I had some similar concerns. I didn't realize, I hadn't talked to my colleagues here, so I didn't realize that they had some of the same issues related to the green space. And I did get a call related to that, related to some of the kids that use it, and some of the, no, it was primarily that, you know, it was kids, the little ones, the T-ballers, I think, they use it for practice. And so there was concerns related to that. And of course I went out there and looked at it, and I'm looking at, I'm not crazy about it, but if the council wants to move in that direction, I would be okay. I went and looked at an alternative place, which was where we currently have equipment, which you had in your picture, that is damaged already from wear and tear. Excuse me. From wear and tear, and so my question was, could we utilize some of that there? And you mentioned, well, we'd have to remove at least 2 trees that I saw that would need to be removed. But they were young trees, they weren't your mature trees. And my thoughts were, well, why couldn't, you know, somebody that's going to build something like this work around? I believe one of the trees, the mature trees that would be in the way, was only in the way by, you know, about 2 feet maybe, you know, something like that. But, you know, I mean, if you're building something and there's something there and you want to get a little creative, you can easily incorporate that as part of the project, you know. And that's what I was thinking. Why not incorporate that? The young trees, obviously they're young enough where they can be relocated to another area so we don't lose, you know, any trees. You know, they can be relocated within the park there or another park, but preferably within Rosewood Park. And I think we would make better use of the space and still preserve the green space that we do have. And for those of you that are not familiar with the area I'm talking about the, you know, where the existing baseball diamond is, and then we have some equipment there that was in one of the pictures that's damaged and we'll probably be replacing anyways. my thoughts were just remove that and let's utilize that space, fit it into that existing space. And in terms of ADA, I mean, that can be ADA compliant. It's close enough to the parking with the ADA parking where people can get to it. They just, you know, you've got a sidewalk that takes you all the way to that area. And also, you know, it's still accessible. You got plenty of shade there because of the trees. Sometimes it gets really warm, and I think it would play well into that when on warm days. You know, bad weather, I think, in addition, it probably would also help even with bad weather. You know, you still have some of the coverage from the trees that are there, and the existing, going back to my colleagues or our vice mayor's comments related to the floor, I too have a little bit of concern with that. I realize it will last longer, but I just think that most facilities nowadays have the rubber matting where it's more safer for somebody that falls. I think it just would be safer, and I like your comment related to you know, it could be puzzled kind of where if this area gets damaged, you remove that versus replacing the whole thing. You know, you replace certain parts only if it gets damaged. So, I mean, overall, and the other part that came to mind to me was, and I realize you've already submitted and it's gotten approved for LA County for Measure A, but to me, part of what you see in the pictures that you showed us is that a lot of this damage has been caused by time and the environment, right? Rain, stuff gets into our equipment out there, and over time it's going to damage it. So for me, I mean, why aren't we putting more of a hard surface over it, which I think would provide better protection from the elements for this equipment, therefore probably would last longer. And so, you know, I think it would be worthwhile for us to look into that to see if it's possible for us to do that. Those are my comments. I don't know what my colleagues think about that, but I did go out there and we were a couple of feet short, and if we could make that work, I think that would be an ideal area. We're already using it for something like that there, and I think it might actually work. So at minimum, I would ask that you at least take a look at it, see if it's something that we can make work, or if not, and then we can either move forward with what's being presented, or maybe a little bit of a modification to
Mayor?
what is being presented.
Maybe he can come up with other options. Greg can come up with other options so that we can see it. But, I mean, your idea, some of the ideas I gave to him also would be, you know.
Yeah, that won't be a problem. I'll have to go back to the designer and go back to LA County to make the changes. However, and this afternoon it came to speaking to somebody about the potential, your idea, and we were thinking about it, and it dawned on us. I just want to put this out there. I want to do my due diligence. Is that the area that you're speaking of is, and we had mentioned the foul balls coming over, and that can possibly be rectified. However, the third base foul line going to the hill, we would probably have to put a fence all the way down, because what happens is that when the kids are warming up, and this happens in every Little League game, they're warming up in left field and right field. And when you have young kids warming up on the left field side or shallow left field, that ball is potentially will go across and into the area that we're speaking of right now. So I want to just put that out there, something to think about, that we would have to potentially erect a fence to eliminate a potential liability of a ball flying over and hitting. So it's just something to think about.
Great, thank you for bringing that up, but in just you making your comments, I think it's something that we should do, period, because we generally have kids over there on the swings, we have them over there, and guess what? They're exposed to that same situation as now, and that's a potential liability. But here's my solution to what you just mentioned. Again, if we had a hard surface, and if we're worried about foul balls coming from that direction, make one area with a screen or something just for that area where people are going to be utilizing those items.
Absolutely.
You know, and that would prevent that. You know, just like Top Golf over in Montebello or wherever they have it, right? They have they have the nets and that's supposed to protect, the freeway and anybody driving with, but sometimes some folks get right over that, right? And we see that throughout, in different areas, but that would be another solution to that. But what you're talking about, it actually speaks to just people walking in that area in general, or kids that are currently playing in the playground over there, or, the kids area, and the swings, just in general, I think that applies to that as well. So, that's my response to that, so we may need to think about doing something along those lines, maybe if it's just for this particular, but maybe down the road to address that as well.
I have a follow-up.
I have a comment too.
Yes, we have, two follow-ups, Councilmember Rebollo, yes?
So just in hearing the dialogue, if you're gonna tell me that we have to remove trees as opposed to not removing trees, obviously I'm gonna go with not removing trees, even though we're gonna lose that space, right? I hear you, Councilmember Lainez. It is an area where there's no shade already, so it makes it for. I could see the idea of the ideal space. In my mind, since there's really not a consensus as to a location at Rosewood Park, I'm gonna go back to my suggestion of thinking about Bristol Park already has an area that we're able to already do this. To move it there first while we figure out what we want to do at Rosewood, right? Because there's gonna be, did you say there's funding for a second, or was the configuration of a fitness center for Bristol part of something else?
No, there's additional funding through LA County. We just have to go through the paperwork and meet with them and submit and ask for funding for that particular project.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just gonna say what for me, I don't see, in looking at Rosewood Park, right, the areas, I just don't see it working out, Mr. Mayor, where you're saying that's where we currently have because it's where we currently have the equipment, correct? That's what you're saying, right outside the BVAC.
We have one piece of equipment, I'm sorry, right outside what?
The BVAC, the entrance?
No,
No, on the side, behind the base.
Third base
Where
side.
the baseball diamond is.
Oh, the playground.
Where the baseball
Got
diamond
it.
is.
Yeah. For me, that particular area is definitely where people barbecue, have birthday parties. In my opinion, I don't think that it's the ideal space for it. And in looking at Rosewood Park, it's almost like that's the proposition that's coming before us is the best space, or I never thought about Councilwoman Garcia's recommendation behind, you're saying behind the basketball court, where, like behind the hill, sort of?
Right, where the parking
Where
is.
the parking lot is?
Right.
That's a consideration. I don't know, I don't remember what you said about that space, that area.
I just think visibility is one big thing. So when you put it in the back of a corner or a park, you don't have visibility off the streets where people can see what's going on. I mean, that would be my biggest concern, although there's basketball players there too. And my other concern is just the interaction between the basketball players, not that they can't get along, and people that want to go and work out and not have all the noise associated with basketball. Basketball itself is a very loud sport, constant bouncing, radios, yelling. So again, one of the bullet points was just a serene location where people can enjoy a workout in peace.
I think people also have parties there too.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking about, well, it's not a fair excuse, but I think people have parties there too, and there's basketball anyway. You know what I mean? So, but I think the visibility portion of it is where it's like, okay, I know where you're coming from. So in my opinion, and this is just me, right? If we're going to keep it at Rosewood, I would say it's gonna give me a little bit of heartburn, but I think the area that that you're proposing, I could see why it's gonna work there. But if we're still indecisive of an area at Rosewood Park, I really think we should consider the Bristol Park in the area where we used to have the bungalow. It's a space that's super underutilized. It's there. Again, their equipment is way more outdated than the one here. I don't know. It can work.
If
those
you
are my-
can, I'm not quite familiar where the bungalow was before, if you can
So
give me a
next to
visual.
the handball courts, there's
Okay.
a big, wide area where
Understood. Okay, thank you.
unfortunately now it's just weeds, right? Because it's just there. But it's a huge area that I really see where this can work. Obviously, if we're talking about visibility to the street, I don't think that you're going to be able to see it too much, right? Because it's a hidden area. But it would also be a great benefit to that community. That park really does get used for walking, especially in the evening, right? We understand that our community is very small in the Bristol area. I understand that, a bulk of the community that comes there probably from East LA as well, but it's also a benefit to the community that lives at Bristol Park. And right, it's something to bring to that community that highly really just wants to be acknowledged, right? And not that we don't see them or acknowledge them, but this is where we're at. So those are my comments. I don't know if I made sense.
Thank you.
but Thank you.
No, you did. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Councilmember Garcia?
So, question. So the original plan that you have for the equipment or the workout equipment to be in that area in front of the parking lot in Rosewood, don't we have soccer players there? The little tiny kickers? We don't do that anymore?
No.
We used to have girls play soccer there too.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, should we need to utilize the field, there's still about 50,000 square feet available for us to even chalk it, line it, or even use it for practices or games still. But currently, we haven't used it, and it's my understanding we only used it periodically. But speaking to the sports supervisor, he said there is plenty of room to continue our sports program should we have to utilize that facility.
We wouldn't be concerned with the soccer ball hitting any of the people using the equipment there?
I guess there's always a concern, baseball fields, soccer fields, whatever it may be, but it's not utilized as though it's a baseball or soccer field, and I'm sure people will be up utilizing it, and I would hope that nobody gets hurt, but I think that's anywhere we go to Bristol Park, there's handball courts there, and I don't know, maybe one of the handballs, I don't know how hard they are actually, but there's always a potential for somebody or a ball or something stray to go through this particular fitness zone, potentially.
Me personally, I would like to see other options, and I do like the idea of Bristol Park, but the other options in Rosewood Park would be nice to see, visualize that also. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. So at this point, is there any additional comments? Any other comments? If not, what would be the pleasure of the city council with regards to item number 9? We can either table it for some additional either a location, looking at the location as suggested by Councilmember Rebollo.
Mr. Mayor, is there a timeline for the use of the funds? Do we have to use them by a certain time? Because I know this is a grant.
We submitted our paperwork indicating that the entire project, notice of completion, would be done early next year.
Okay.
I don't know what month though at this time, but I know it was early next year for this particular project.
Okay. I just want us to keep that in mind because I would hate for us to lose that money, right? Since it's not going to cost us to do anything out of the general fund. So.
Okay. Based on that question, I mean, how soon can we look at alternatives and bring something to present to council to either make a decision with the existing plan that you're proposing, or maybe the different location at a different park, or maybe just within the same park but at a different location so we maintain the green space that we're talking about?
I would have to speak to Burke, the company that's doing the designing. I can't speak on their behalf in terms of how quick they can turn around and meet me here and walk the 2 different parks and do some preliminary designs. So I would ask for a minimum of 1 month just to meet with them, and they're going to have to do some homework on their side, and us do some homework here to be creative as well, to not impact any green space.
Okay. Is a month okay with everybody? You all okay? Okay. City manager, can we go ahead and continue this item to our meeting a month from now? And hopefully we'll get additional information and designs, whether it's relocating it to Bristol or another location within Rosewood Park. And if not, we can still move forward with if we don't find anything that's logical for the area, then we can move forward with the proposed plan as is, I think. That obviously it's still here, and if we don't find anything, and we can just move forward and make a decision. So we can definitely take advantage of these funds that are coming from LA County. So be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we also ask the county whether that's a hard deadline, or is that something that could be amended, right?
I will inquire.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And while you're doing that, Greg, if you don't mind asking them, you mentioned that there was additional funding, so we can ask for additional resources for maybe one of the other parks if we'd like to. And it would seem to me that we should be putting in a request for additional resources if
Well,
they're
that's a
available.
very good question. I can tell you how much money we have available if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, if we continue with this particular project, about $220,000, we'll have a balance of about $550,000 available for us for additional projects, of which I can present to you in the future, of which could be additional anything, pagodas, playground equipment, fitness equipment, things of that nature. This is not maintenance money. This is actually for projects to enhance our parks through LA County Measure A.
Wow. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. And do you mind, he was just following up on the floor, that maybe getting a floor which would be a little safer for whether it's our seniors or just anybody. See if we can do something with that.
Sure. I can ask the designer to include that in a quote. I will ask for 2 different types of floors. That's okay. We'll go DG and rubber surfacing, and I can present that to you.
Just for clarification, DG, what type of surface is that?
Deposit grant. It's like the track, like a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which
Okay.
a lot of facilities use. However, it's not as clean.
Okay.
At all, so.
Okay.
Yeah, my vision
Thank
is
you.
to have something clean out there for you guys.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your comments. Everybody, thank you for this discussion. I think it was a good discussion to have, and hopefully we'll get some additional options here and see what makes sense for all of us. Thank you. All right, let's continue on. We have, so this item will be continued, and that takes us to item number 10. City Clerk, if you don't mind, this is the reappointment to the Commission on Disabilities Access and Opportunity.
Yes, currently we ended up having all 5 vacancies on the Commission on Disability Access and Opportunity. All the terms expired. At one point, we extended it due to pandemic. And we received, this commission is a little bit different from other commissions, so the entire council chooses and decides on the candidates. So the way we had the process, we received 6 applications for 5 commission seats, and each council member rated applicants and those that received the best scoring. So the 5 applicants that received the highest scoring are the existing commissioners: Elizabeth Del Carmen Martinez, Erica Bajorquez, Myri Madrigal, and the 2 new commissioners coming in will be Alfonso Mendez Atilano and Jonathan Melendez. All the applicants will be notified tomorrow morning, and the sooner we process them, they will have the full commission, because currently they have 2 vacancies.
Okay, great. Thank you. And you need just an approval from the members of the City Council on this item, correct?
Yes, just
Okay.
a motion to
So a
appoint
motion
those
would
5
be in order?
individuals.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have motion and a second. Anybody opposed to that? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you, Lena. Now we have item number 11. We're going to ordinances. Item number 11, introduction and first reading of an ordinance amending Commerce Municipal Code, Chapter 2.04.050 related to the city manager position. Who'll be presenting on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I'll be presenting the item. As you mentioned, this item before you is a proposed amendment to an existing ordinance, Section 2.04.050 of the Municipal Code related to the city manager position, and specifically it relates to the dismissal of the city manager. Currently, pursuant to the code, you need 4 votes of the city council. This amendment would change that requirement from 4 to 3 votes, and that's the only change. If there's any questions, I can answer those questions.
Is there any comments or question related to this item? Great. I did have a comment, and I requested this item be put on the agenda, and reason being is that, you know, I believe that you have basically a majority of the city council that, you know, can make decisions related to anything here in the city, programming, services, direction you want to move the city in, and so on. And I just didn't think that it was right for us to have, you needed a supermajority if you made or you wanted to make a change with regards to your city manager. I think that, you know, we should, as a council, the majority, if you want to make a change and move in a different direction, by a simple majority, you should be able to do that. And not only that, but I really do feel that I think this would help us in making sure that as we move forward here with what we do in the future related to the city manager position, that I think it would be helpful to be able to, I think it just gives a lot of power to our city manager or city administrator and whatever it is, right? I really do feel that, and that's why I requested this item be put on the agenda. So if there's no additional comments or questions, a motion would be in order if we would like to change it. If we don't want to change it, then you know, we can recommend otherwise.
I'd like to motion to change.
Okay, we have motion to make the change, and we have a second. Is there anybody opposed to this item? Could I get a roll call vote on this item, please?
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Lainez?
Yes.
Councilmember Iboer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Altamirano? And Mayor Guimedo?
Yes.
I'll read the title of the ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Commerce, California, amending Chapter 2.04.050 of Title 2 of the Commerce Municipal Code related to the city manager position.
Thank you, Lena. And we'll move to item number 12, introduction and first reading of an ordinance amending Commerce Municipal Code, Chapter 2.04.080 related to city manager position. And if you don't mind going over that, legal counsel, once again.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is an amendment to an ordinance related to the city manager position. This would amend Chapter 2.04.080. Specifically, this is the section of the municipal code that outlines the duties and powers of the city manager. In 2019, the city council amended this chapter and made many changes. A lot of it was administrative and kind of changing pronouns. There was one substantive change, which you can find at 2.04.008, number 2, and this is how this has to do with the hiring and dismissal of executive level city employees. Prior to the change in 2019, the power was vested in the city council exclusively, and the city administrator at the time had their role was to provide a recommendation, but the power rested with the city council. The change, the amendment in 2019 changed that code and changed it so that the city manager had the authority to hire and dismiss city executive level city employees. And then the city council retained the power to direct the city manager to make certain decisions, direct them to make certain decisions related to executive level positions. So now before you is simply to reverse that change that was made in 2019. And again, the city council would then have the power to hire and dismiss executive level employees.
Thank you, legal counsel. And again, I requested this item be put on the agenda. I really felt that, in retrospect, the changes that were made in the past, I believe, gave too much power, or we as a city council, lost a lot of our authority, and I really think it needs to be reinstated to where it belongs, and it belongs here on the diocese for us to make those decisions. They're very important, and I believe that we should all be able to weigh in on that, and I believe it was a recommendation from previously in the past. It was a recommendation that would come from the city manager to the city council, I think.
That is correct.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is, we should basically reinstate that, and I think it would gives us, as council, a lot more visibility to the actions, so we're not get caught by, excuse me, so we don't get caught by surprise by, some of the changes that are being made at the executive level, and we're all in that process, and that way, I really feel that it belongs at this body, and that's why I'm putting it on the agenda. If there's any comments or questions related to this item, I'd like to hear them. Yes, Councilwoman Rebollo.
Just for the sake of clarity, Mr. City Attorney, we never lost our power to fire and hire, correct? Because we've always interviewed executive level employees. So I'm trying to understand what you mean by that. Like we've done the interviews, we've done the hiring. So we never really lost that authority. We've always had it. Is it now just a matter of wording on the municipal code? I'm just trying to understand.
Yes, so no, it's a significant change. And after the amendment to this code, the practice was, and I don't know if it was for all recruitments of all executive level positions, but there was a practice of having recruitments where the city council interviewed, and the decision to hire was made by the city council. And again, I don't know if it's true of all the hires, and I don't know if it's true if there was any executive level employees that were dismissed. So what you're referring to is more of a practice. And so now it's going to be, again, more formal, and it's going to be a requirement. And again, with the change that happened in 2019, there still was a practice, but the city manager could have hired without taking it to the city council for its consideration, unless the city council exercised its right to direct the city manager to conduct a certain procedure. But to my knowledge, I don't recall that happening. So again, it was more of a practice, but it is a significant change.
So, but now, I mean, it's going to remain the same, right? City council will only have the authority to get involved in personnel matters of the executive employees only, correct? Just the management.
Well,
upper
I
management.
wouldn't say that it stays the same. It's actually going to change. And so the delegated authority to the city manager is now would go back to the city council. And you are correct that it's only executive level employees.
Okay. Okay. I mean, in the sake of unity, right? Whatever the council decides as a whole, I'm going to support that. But I've always said it that I don't think that the city council should get involved in any personnel matters. We are the only city that hires and gets involved in even the executive management. I think that as it relates to personnel matters, city council shouldn't get involved. I think our duties should be to hire a city manager and to make policy changes. But that's just me. That's how I think that how it should be. But in the sake of unity, right? If the city council decides that we should have this authority to get involved in those personnel matters, I will definitely support, you know, for the sake of unity. But I personally, you know, I've always felt this way, that I don't think that the city council should be involved in personnel matters other than, you know, hiring the city manager, right? But that's just me. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, council member. Anybody else?
I mean, I'm gonna support this. I remember what it used to be, and it was hiring from city council. And ultimately, the city administrator back then, turned to city manager, could give us a recommendation and say, this director, we should replace this director for this reason. But we had the last say. What happened here, it turned. He had the last say. We can all vote and say no, but ultimately, he could just say, I'm sorry, I understand you guys don't want to get rid of this director, but I'm gonna get rid of this director. And that was it. And the first director that he got rid of was a public works director 5 years ago. That was probably within a month or so when we gave him this power, maybe 2 months, I don't remember. And things really started to shift and change in City Hall. So I am in full support of taking it back. We're still open to the city manager's recommendations. If they think the executive director is not performing, then they can have a discussion with us, and then we can make that decision. I'd rather want it that way myself, so I'm gonna be supporting this.
Thank you for your comments, council. No comments?
No comments.
All right, if not, a motion would be in order at this point with regards to item number 12. Is there a motion on item number 12?
Yeah, I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and if I can have a roll call on this item also, please.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Linus?
Yes.
Councilmember Reboyer?
For the sake of unity, my vote will be yes.
Vice Mayor Tamirano?
Yes.
And Mayor Guimeda?
Yes.
I will read the title. An ordinance of the City of Commerce, California, amending Chapter 2.04.080 of the Title II of the Commerce Municipal Code related to the city manager position.
Thank you, Lena. And that concludes the items on our agenda. And at this point, I'm going to go over to my left, City Council and Successor Agency reports. Councilmember Reboyo? Okay, sure. I'll shift over to my right, Councilmember Garcia.
Yes, I'd like to take this moment to recognize Lupe Barragan, who recently passed away. She was one of my closest friends' sister. I've always been close to the Barragan family. Lupe is remembered as one of the original Commerce Water Polo family, and I will always remember her smiling every chance she got. Please join me in sharing our sincere condolences to the Barragan family.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember, I'll go with Councilmember Linus. Councilmember?
Thank you, Mayor, and my condolences to the Barragan family. Councilwoman Garcia, sorry for your loss. Just want to report on some of the city activities that I participated in since our last meeting. On March 1st, I participated in Read Across America at Bandini Elementary. And I want to thank the school librarian, Rachel Avalos, for expending the invite. I also want to thank the sheriff's department. The sergeant was there, as well as 3 other deputies, I believe, participating there. So thank you for your involvement with the community and just spreading the value of literacy, right, and how important it is, because readers are leaders. So thank you for that. On March 7th, I attended the Commerce Business Council President installation, and I want to congratulate Jim Crawford from Cal Water for being installed as the president for the 2nd term. And this past Saturday, I went to the Clippers game that was held by the Parks and Rec Department. So I want to thank Frank Garcia and Anthony for being the staff that kind of corralled all of the residents or all of the community and made sure that they got into the game and got back home safely. I also want to thank Manuel and Jaime for dealing with the downtown LA traffic and getting us to and from safely. So it wasn't easy, as I'm sure our mayor will tell you. Let's see. About a week or so ago, I attended Unplugged Junior's production of Aladdin. In fact, because my son's in that production, I went to all 5 shows. They were all great. They were all great. So I want to congratulate the cast and the crew there, the staff at the Teen Center. Thank you for putting together the sets and all the support that you give to the Unplugged program. But primarily, I do want to congratulate Amber Torres. She is now replacing Marcus Enriquez as the Teen Center supervisor. And so this will be her last production as performing arts director, right? It's a little bittersweet because, Amber has essentially gotten a promotion, and, her previous position as performing arts director is now open. And I know that there were 2 class instructor positions that we funded in September of last year to support the program. So there's 3 positions that are out there that I think we're still looking to fill. And as I thought about it, I thought about other positions that we had approved with our budget reviews, right? There was the media specialist, which I also think we approved. And so I actually have a request, right? And I'm hoping I have the consensus of the council here, but I'd like to review the job positions that the council has approved over the past 12 months. So the 2022-2023 mid-year and the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget. I want to get a report on which positions have been approved and funded, like the media specialist, the class instructors, right? I want to know what's been filled, what's still open, and if it's still open, why is it still open? I just want to make sure that we're kind of identifying, any bottlenecks or any gaps so that we can work to resolve. I think as a council, we sat here and we funded these positions because we wanted to enhance our services, fortify our organization. And I just want to make sure that we're carrying that through. So if we can get that agendized for the next meeting, I think that's what I would like to see, but only if I have the consensus from the city council. Does everyone agree? Yeah, normally I think this should be a checks and balance that we should have every year, right? Just to kind of see where we're at, but let's start it this year and let's see how we do. So again, which positions have been approved and funded, right? What's been filled, what's still open, and if it's still open, why is it still open, right? So that's essentially my report. So thank you, Mayor.
Great report, thank you. Councilmember Rebollo.
Thank you. First of all, I also would like to extend my condolences to the Barragan family. The Barragan family is deep rooted here in the community, as the councilwoman has stated. So my deepest condolences to the Barragan family. I won't sound redundant. I attended most of the things that Councilmember Lainez did, so he's already mentioned them. Great events. I will say for Unplugged, and I know we kind of say this all the time, but it's really time for us to look at renting a theater space for these performances that are amazing, and the Teen Center does a great job of accommodating, but I think that they've grown so much, and just the product that they bring to the table is so worthy of its own theater space. I know there's a bunch of little theaters in Boyle Heights where we could rent for a week, so maybe it's a matter of us putting it on the budget for the 23-24 budget coming up. But definitely it's worth us considering theater space for them, even if we have to rent it for a week, so that they can move their props there, leave it for the week, and do their performances. And maybe they only have to have, right, one performance Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, not 2 each, or whatever the case may be, right? Because of the space that they're in now, and just because honestly, like, they've earned it. They've earned that trophy of having a space to show their production. I remember when I was a kid, I think it was Kids Exclusive that would put on shows, and they would have it here. They would set up the stage here, and it would look like a theater here. I don't think that's possible anymore, but I really think that it's time that we look at theater space for Unplugged. Also, I am a Clipper fan, but unfortunately I was not able to attend the game. I was out supporting my son and the water polo program at the Cal Cup tournament this weekend. Congratulations to all the athletes that were playing this weekend. I know water polo was out there, Crush had tournaments, and the Aces were in Arizona most recently. So congratulations to them. Lastly, I don't think that I'm the only one that has received these phone calls from residents about, getting citations for parking on their lawns, for parking, blocking the access to a walkway, right? Is that what it's called? I thank the public safety manager for putting, first of all, just the way you upkeep social media. I just love the visibility, the information that goes out. Thank you for putting that information out there and for reminding folks that you're gonna get cited for breaking municipal laws, right? It's not something that is just came out of the blue, right? Some are California laws that you're not supposed to do. But I do understand that it's been so lax in the past that it became kind of like, why am I getting cited now? Well, because, people are kind of doing their job now. But with that said, and I know that I've had this conversation in the past that I hope we consider it almost as an action item or at least to have dialogue, is to look at, and I think the vice mayor had brought it up many moons ago and it went nowhere. Then I had brought it up and it went nowhere. But just looking at our municipal code to see if for some residents that have the space in their front lawns to create driveways to park these cars, I think would alleviate some of that headache. Let's face it, that people are not leaving Commerce. This generation is coming back to live with their folks, right? Kids are not leaving their family homes, and kids have cars. They go to college, they're working. There's families with multiple cars because every single member of their family has a car. And no, we cannot regulate how many cars are per household, because I've had that conversation too. But we can look at our municipal code to see what we can do. I know that a lot of the denials have been, you can't build a driveway in the front because it has to lead to a garage. Well, let's face it, there's duplexes and no garages, right? But there are some homes that have said, look, I'll pay for it. If you let me pave my front lawn, my car can fit here and we can alleviate these problems, especially in the Fitzgerald area, right? There's 3 residents that have already reached out to me like, hey, what can we do? Stevens is getting out of control again, which we will have a conversation about. So I think if we can look at our municipal code and see what we can do to allow folks to, if they want to pay for it, pave a driveway in their front lawn that obviously is not going to look ridiculous, right? That still is within code. But I believe a lot of the denials have been because they don't lead to a garage, but it would alleviate at least 2 cars in the park on the street. So those are my comments. Just thank you to Justin and the team. I know they've probably been getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of flack. We've been getting them too. But we understand that, you're just doing your job. But also with that, I hear you, the community, there is no parking. I get it. I rent and I live in a duplex and I have street parking too, so we hear you, but I hope that we can fix it somehow, looking at the municipal code and figuring out what we can do. And that's it. That's all for my reports. God bless everybody, and let's continue to take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rebollo and Vice Mayor.
Thank you. And just to piggyback off of Councilwoman Rebollo, I agree. I think that, we've had these discussions for the time I've been here, 12 years. It's always these discussions on what we're going to do about the municipal code. And it's always like, okay, well, here's the codes, and it's so big, and we want to study it, and we want to eventually change it. I think that our codes are antiquated. I really think that we should truly address this issue, and I don't think that we should address them as a whole. Wait till we look at the entire book of codes. I think we should attack it by sections. And from there, we could just take baby steps to move in a direction to comply, to have, to make it better for our residents. There's so many things that the residents want to do out there that our codes are still from the 1940s and 50s that make no sense today. and yet we're still speaking a language from the 40s and 50s that in 2000s today, it doesn't work. So we need to take a look at them, and I hope that we can. I don't know how. If you guys can come up with a plan on how we can go page per page, code per code, and ask, should we change this? If so, how? How can we better the life of the residents? That's the real question that we should be asking. And then from there, have a plan to be able to strategize and achieve those goals. I wanted to acknowledge and really tell our director from Library, Sonia, that you guys are doing such a great job. I just noticed I normally walk through Rosewood Park, but this time I took a different path. And where we were proposing to put the outdoor workout gym, I saw for the first time that you guys have a story. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a story. It's old news. I just saw it. I think I had my glasses that day, maybe. But I saw it, and it goes all the way to the library. So it starts from like the Commerce Way area. I just thought it was really cool. And I walked that area because my grandson now is starting to go to the park a lot, and he took a picture by the where the wings are. I mean, he can't even reach yet, but even the smallest wings, he still can't reach it. But granted, I noticed that, so that was something I didn't notice. I just want to thank you for being so creative, all of your entire team and staff. So those are our reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And yeah, I've attended some of the events as well. Of course, Clippers, thank you. Great game. Clippers won. I'm a much bigger Laker fan, but hey, I'm still an LA team, and I like the Clippers, and it was a good game. And thank Frank and our staff for a great job. They really did a great job. Our bus drivers, as you mentioned, a little challenging with all the traffic downtown LA, and they did a great job getting us over there and back home. Also, the installation dinner with the Commerce Business Council. I really appreciate the leadership that Jim Crawford has provided on the council, and also Robert Taylor and their entire staff. They do a great job, and in particular, I think this year they wanted to reinitiate the meetings that we used to have with the mayor, and just to get an update on what's going on in the city. And we did that, and we had our first one, I believe it was in January. We had our first meeting with them. And I told them that we should probably do it quarterly, only because sometimes we're kind of being redundant with a lot of the stuff that we were covering. So I said, hey, let's do it quarterly. And if there's any items that we need to add, or if there's something that you need an update, we'll call for a special on that, and we'll give you guys an update. But just so that they're in tune with some of the things that we're working on here in the city. Big item, of course, the first thing they asked for is city manager position. They were aware of the loss of city manager, and they wanted to know, and we filled them in, gave them an update on exactly what we were doing. Of course, they haven't gotten probably the latest update, but I know that we provided enough information that they were comfortable with the information we provided, and that we would update them as soon as we had more information related to that. But anyways, I want to thank him and his reelection as the board president, and also to his board members who were also appointed, and we swore them in. And all of my colleagues were there at the installation dinner, which thank you all for being in attendance. I thought it was great opportunity to continue that dialogue with our members of our business community. I think it was well appreciated by all, and all of our staff that was there as well. Thank you, Vilko. I know you were there as well, and other staff members. So thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on this conversation, since we're having it here, related to the parking. And yes, we've all gotten the calls, we've all gotten the issues and the concerns, and you're absolutely right. You touched on some really important things related to antiquated ordinances and regulations that we have here in the city. And we're doing a great job in citing and whatnot, but the other part of that is that we also should be able to provide solutions. And some of the solutions that have been discussed in the past, and we haven't done anything, is what you covered already, which some has been done. I don't know if it was done via a permit, but to me, the first thing that came to mind is, hey, we already have a template already. We've done it before. We've approved it for others, whether it was via a permit or just giving them the okay to go ahead and do it. But they've done it. There's some residents out there that have already done it. So for me, part of the solution is, hey, what did we do? Is it working? How can we expedite getting these others done, making sure they know it's available? The other discussion would probably be is, you know, maybe permit parking for the area. But again, this is something that we don't want to push on the residents of the village. I think it's a decision for them to make. If they're comfortable with it, if they would like to maybe even try it on a trial basis, see how that works out. If you have too many vehicles, you know, and as long as they have a permit, maybe we can try that. I know other areas are having the same problem, and my colleague Linus has mentioned this before, and I forget what you called it, but striping, T-marks, right? So that people, because some people are actually, and we've heard this in some of our neighborhood meetings. Justin, you were there, where people are coming out and they'll move their car and they take two parkings just so that they don't lose a parking spot. But, you know, and there's really nothing you can do. There's nothing that you can do to cite them for that. But it's kind of unfair to people, you know, like, hey, I'm waiting and you're going over there and just moving your car so that nobody else will take the parking. But maybe that'll help, you know, where people now have to park within the T marks or the appropriate parking. And now you could potentially, you know, write a citation. I just don't think it's fair that people do that. And now, you know, they have, you know, you're taking up some parking here that could be utilized by others. It's just not fair. In addition, just in general, I mean, if we do something like that, we should look at and I know it was being done in the Rosini area related to the parking because of the problems that we've had in the past on Fitzgerald. And yeah, and I really think we should maybe look at possibly doing permit parking so that we can better control that, and maybe we can implement it on a pilot basis. You know, let's try it. Let's see if it works. If it works, then we'll have the template, and maybe looking at other things. I'd like to see what other cities are doing related to some of these issues. But you're absolutely correct related to the fact that, hey, look, we've got a lot more families nowadays, and kids aren't leaving. You know, before you get 18 and you're off and you're doing your thing. But nowadays we're having kids that are staying more at home, and you know, we as parents, I think we're more than happy to have them home. But also it creates other issues specifically related to parking, particularly with homes in our community that tend to be a lot older, and our community wasn't built that way. It wasn't built to accommodate, you know, multiple cars, 4 or 5 cars in some cases, right? So yeah, we definitely need to look at that. And just for your information, we have a neighborhood watch meeting coming up on Thursday over in the village area. I anticipate that it's going to be a hot topic of discussion, and we should not only be able to say, here's what the law stipulates related to parking, or we're going to issue citations, but we should also not only just offer citations, but we should offer some solutions. Because I believe in some cases we've told people not to do it, they moved their vehicles, and now they're complaining because they broke into their vehicles. So, you know, you can't just expect people to, oh, well, follow the guidelines, and now they've been victimized by break-ins and whatnot, and they want to try to keep their vehicle close to home where they can keep a closer eye on it. So it presents multiple problems, but we got to try to come up with solutions that we can bring to them, and then you know, present those and maybe even implement some of those on a pilot basis to see how they work out, and we'll revisit them after a 6-month period and go with that. But anyways, I just wanted to follow up on that. The rest of the items, I don't think I need to go into. Thank you for the. I want to extend my condolences to the Barragan family, to Lupe. I knew her as Susan. I didn't realize. Suzanne. Yeah, I knew her as Suzanne, not Lupe. And so when I heard, I wasn't sure. But of course I knew the Barragan family, and I didn't realize that it was Annabelle's sister either. Yeah, I did not know that, and so my condolences to the Barragan family, and we'll adjourn our meeting today in her name, in her honor. Thank you. That concludes our meeting. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance and for bearing with us this evening. Oh, my God. Yes, by the way, please thank your staff for the awesome job they always do with decorations and whatnot. Again, beautiful. Thank you. Please thank them.